Ripple's an unregistered security. It's pretty obvious. It's a company, right? Just like Ethereum is an unregistered security. Yeah, I think the best thing for the world would be if the SEC pretty much shut down all of it.
All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a blessed weekend. Hope you had an amazing week. We got some big news to talk about in today's video for XRP holders. So is XRP going to zero? Are you going to lose all of your money? Or is XRP the chosen cryptocurrency that's going to create generational freedom for you and your family? Those are some of the questions we're going to be answering in this video. We're going to be bringing up the charts comparing to the last bull run for what happened for the entire altcoin market, comparing that to Bitcoin's dominance and what happened for the altcoin market. On top of that, what happened for XRP when altcoins broke out, and what's most likely to happen next for XRP. And then, is Ripple going to the Supreme Court? We got some clips to play with Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and their secret plan for XRP that they've been preparing for behind the scenes for over a decade. So if you guys are feeling bullish for the crypto market, comment 777. If you're feeling blessed, comment 777. And if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping that subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, and it looks like the rest of the market has made a recovery after the recent news broke out about the bottle rockets being sent out of a parking lot, getting you to sell all of your coins. When you think of how ridiculous it is, you know, with war news breaking out, how it affects the markets, it's more emotional driven than actual fact based. So in this video, I want to stick to the facts rather than opinions, because if I were to give you guys my opinion about, you know, XRP or the markets, my opinion doesn't matter at all. What matters is the facts. So I formulate my opinions based on facts. And so what we're going to look at is the facts of what takes place every single time Bitcoin goes into a halving. I've talked about this in previous videos, but there's some nuanced points in this one that I want to talk about, and I want to compare to the altcoin market and everything else that you need to know to formulate your own thesis about XRP and the rest of the altcoin market. Because when we look at the last time Bitcoin halved, it was back in 2020. You know, that was around the same time that, right after COVID took place, and then Donald Trump signed the CARES Act into law shortly after that. So the M2 money supply, you know, the stimulus checks were going out. And so a large chunk of that money was pumped into the crypto market. And so this was, you know, post pandemic recovery. Also, Bitcoin's halving was perfectly timed, you know, coincidentally enough, around that same time. And so call it market manipulation, call it business, whatever you want to call whatever happened in March of 2020 to shut down the economy. Could that have been orchestrated to pump crypto? I don't know, but crypto pumped. So that was a fact. And so when we look at the facts here, pre-Bitcoin's halving, there was a sell-off that took place before Bitcoin's halving. And so what we're looking at right now on today's chart is we see the pre-halving pump. We also see a pre-halving sell-off. And so when we look at the Bitcoin stock to flow model, this shows us every single halving that's taken place for Bitcoin in the past. And if we were to zoom into each one, the most recent one that just took place, you know, we're seeing this sell-off for Bitcoin happen right before the halving. Now, is the bottom in? We're going to discuss that on more charts that I'm going to bring up in this video, and when the bottom could potentially be in before Bitcoin rallies past the all-time high and eventually breaks 90, 100K. Because in order for altcoins to rally and your whole portfolio to go up, there needs to be liquidity that flows into Bitcoin first. And so if Bitcoin's going up, Bitcoin's always been the leader. Now, sure, there are some outliers that, you know, outperform some of the top projects, you know, like Solana has been outperforming Ethereum. And I think this is the cycle for Solana to outperform Ethereum. So I'm more bullish on something like Solana than Ethereum this cycle if you want to see bigger gains. But if we go back to the last cycle when Bitcoin halved, you know, we can see the color code, right? From 1400 days to 0 days until the next halving. And so when we went from, you know, blue to dark purple, we saw the sell-off take place going into COVID, the pandemic. And then the halving took place as we were recovering out of there. So a little bit different than this cycle right here, because, you know, there's been no pandemic, and the pandemic was way worse news than, you know, the Middle East conflict and the war. But, you know, war nonetheless is not good news for the markets. They overreact. So if we look back to the last cycle, this is more comparable to the 2016 to 2018 bull run, where we saw this massive run up, you know, to come close to the all-time high. It didn't quite pass the all-time high. It was a little bit below it, you know, about $760. And then we saw a sell-off going into the halving where Bitcoin came back down to the stock to flow line, consolidated sideways, and then started working its way on out of here for this bull run cycle. So when you look right here, you can see that that's two sell-offs going into the halving. If we go back to the cycle before then, when we went from blue to purple, we saw another sell-off followed by consolidation. The halving took place, and we started working our way on out of there about, like 3 months after the halving. This was December, November to December, and then all of a sudden, once we really started to break out was January. So this was a lot quicker of a rally for Bitcoin post-halving back in 2013, for that bull run cycle. And so when we look at the Bitcoin Rainbow Price Chart Indicator, this basically shows us, when we're in maximum bubble territory, the best time to sell. And then when we're in the biggest fire sale, the best time to accumulate. And so right now, as you guys can see, we're in green, which is the accumulate phase. Now, if we look back to the last bull run when the halving took place, we were around the same period, the accumulate phase. Now, if we look back to the cycle before then, we were a little bit below that. We were in the buy, right before accumulate phase. If we go back to the cycle before then in 2012, we were around the same phase right here. So the cycle is playing out very, very similar on the technicals to the last cycle for Bitcoin specifically. So if I were to trace up, Bitcoin's chart from the last cycle, it would look something like this. Bitcoin, yes, it could go lower. We could have a dip down to the 50 moving average. In fact, I would expect during this bull run at some point for Bitcoin to test the 50 SMA. I'm on the 3-day chart right now. And so the 50 SMA right here is at about $52,700. And the price is at $65,000. And so if Bitcoin consolidates sideways, the 50 SMA in blue would come up like this. And I would expect the price to intersect with the 50 SMA while the 200 SMA turns up as well. And so during the last bull run, if we look at what happened, when the price bounced off the 50 moving average right here at like June 2020, bounced off of it again to September to October, then it deviated from it and it went absolutely parabolic. So I would expect something like this to play out on the chart. Now, sure, we could go even lower. We could fake everyone out, dip below the 50, but I would expect to bounce on it, around it, or above it, potentially below it. And then for us to continue the upside. And I'll share with you why I believe that will take place based on money supply and other things that we need to look at in this video. So a lot of people think that Bitcoin's appreciation, and I'm getting into XRP in a little bit so you guys can understand this, but a lot of people think that Bitcoin's price appreciation is because of the halving. And sure, while part of that might be true, the halving means nothing unless there's liquidity on a global scale flowing into the crypto market. And so that is where M2 comes into play, global liquidity. And when we look at Bitcoin's past cycles compared to global liquidity, this blue chart that you guys can see, as it appreciates and it goes up, more money is going into the economy. And so when we see right here at the peak of the market, when Bitcoin was back in 2021, at the previous all-time high, look at the M2 supply. It was drastically increasing during that bull market. Then when the bear market kicked in, the M2 supply started to drop all the way to the bottom. And once the bull market started kicking back off again in 2022, towards the tail end in 2023, we saw the M2 supply bounce. Now, where we're at right now and what's going to happen with the M2 supply, a lot of people believe that the M2 supply is going to continue up. As you guys can see here, from 2022 to 2023, it's been dropping on stlouisfed.org, their official website. And so over time, historically, since this chart was founded in 1959, the M2 supply has been increasing. So if crypto goes down and the M2 supply goes down even further, and it's over for crypto, well, that'd be very odd. That'd be very strange. And nobody could predict that. So every single year or decade in the past, the M2 supply has just been increasing. It's been going up. So they have two options, the Fed does, and that's default on their debt or print more money. And every single time they print more money. So what's the likelihood of them printing more money again? Very, very high. Well, it's been 100% chance. There's not been any other percentage other than 100% chance. So my opinion is based on 100% chance that we're going up. Now, sure, there could be that, let's say 99.999%. There's that 0.00001% chance that they default. But are we going to base it off that minimal of odds here? So the odds are heavily stacked in our favor here in the crypto market because it's forced asset appreciation. We should write that down. Forced asset appreciation. The reason why asset prices go up is because they're forced to, because smart investors that make the most money on this planet, that understand how money works, they're forced to put their dollars into something that's going to hold value or appreciate, like gold, real estate, stocks, crypto. And so then there's other commodities like oil, and then you have other assets as well too. So they're forced to put in there. Why would they want their dollars to die in a bank account that's not producing them enough APY on a high interest savings account compared to a 7% inflation rate per year? So if they're making 5% annual, they're losing 2% per year for real inflation. So it makes absolutely no sense. So when we look at the federalreserve.gov monetary print orders, you can see how many in billions of pieces they're printing from $100 bills. And this is just physical cash. We're not even talking about numbers on the computer screen either. So you can see old designs, 50s, 20s, 10s, 5s, 2s, and 1s. So 2024, larger than 2023. So this whole year, they're printing more money into the economy. In 2025, the numbers are more than likely going to be right up there with 2024, maybe even higher. And so the Fed's in a pickle here because at some point they're going to be lowering the interest rates. And, the markets historically have rallied when the Fed is raising interest rates. People think that, raising interest rates is bad for crypto, when in reality it's proven not to be, because it's based on money supply and interest rates. Rising interest rates haven't really dampened the crypto market that much because Bitcoin passed the all-time high before the halving while the interest rates have been high and the markets have been going up. And so when we look at the past, we need to look at past cycles and then also discuss some other data points here for where things are leading. Because if we were to measure to January of 2018 until December of 2020, we could see the bear market kick in all the way to the bottom. We saw a lower high than the all-time high of 2018 for the altcoin market. This is the total 2 on the weekly chart, meaning this is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So it's every single altcoins. For those of you that are new, an altcoin just means an alternative coin to Bitcoin. So if you go on coinmarketcap.com, it's Ethereum and down. Everything underneath that, right? Stable coins like Tether, USDC doesn't really count because it stays at $1. And so this is comparing the whole entire altcoin market. So when we see a series of lower highs followed by lower lows, we're in a downtrend. So what we want to look for is trend reversals. And a trend reversal is when we see let's say, for example, we're in a downtrend. Well, what we're seeing is a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. Once we see a series of higher highs and higher lows, then that's when a trend reversal takes place. Now, on the psychology of a market cycle, that is also the disbelief stage in the macro market cycle, where people think it's a sucker's rally, it's going to fail just like any others. So, for example, when we saw the low for March of 2020, it was actually a higher low than the low of December of 2018, just barely. So sure, the world was freaking out, everyone was panicking. Bitcoin dropped over 60% in 3 weeks. From February of 2020 to the whole market dropped, but we also saw a lower high. So we're still in a downtrend. We need to see a higher high followed by a higher low. We saw a higher low, but we didn't see a higher high until August of 2020. Now, once we saw this zone of resistance flip, which was resistance back in June of 2019, it also was support back in April of 2018, June of 2018, all the way until July of 2018. Once we broke through that, we struggled to regain it. You can see we even got rejected here in February 2020, and we came back up to it again back in July of 2020. We flipped it, we held it as support. So this whole stage during August of 2020 was the disbelief rally. We formed a higher high, a higher low, we held it as support, and then we worked our way out of here. We broke it. We went all the way up to $240 billion in market cap for the entire altcoin market. We formed a higher high, and then we back tested the previous range right here by December of 2020, the 21st of December, 2020. And then we went parabolic on out of here. And so when we look at the bottom of the screen right here, you can see the high for the altcoin market right around May of 2021. Sure, it wasn't the all-time high, but it was the technical high because the indicators all showed that the high for the altcoin market was May of 2021. It's non-debatable. That's just a fact. The dead cat bounce was November of 2021 for the complacency stage. And so when we were in a downtrend right here, very similar to what happened from April of 2018 until December 2018. We were in a downtrend for the bear market, seeing a lower high and a lower low to reach the bottom. And so once the bottom came in at roughly, if I were to move my cursor, about 13th of June 2022, we formed a series of lower highs, but also followed by higher lows. So we didn't see a trend reversal until roughly, January of 2024, because we need to see, for a trend reversal, we need higher highs followed by higher lows. We were seeing lower highs, but we were seeing higher lows for the symmetrical triangle. Once the breakout took place in October of 2023, very similar to the breakout that took place from March of 2020 until August of 2022, this was the disbelief stage. So these two arrows that you can see right here by January 8th of 2024, and I'm going to give you these dates so you guys can, watch, rewind, or you can just screenshot this if you want. The altcoin market broke out to almost about $900 billion. It formed a higher high, and then the sell-off brought it down to about $690 billion, about $700 billion to form a higher low. It held this range as support, which acted as resistance. Almost the exact same chart pattern, virtually, that played out, back in 2018 to 2020, where you can see the support back here in April of 2018 that the price chart bounced off of to form this lower high for the complacency stage was very similar to this support that the price chart bounced off of, back in July of 2000, it was all the way in May of 2021 to July of 2021. You could see these wicks right here. So the bulls were stepping in to push the price back up for the complacency stage bounce. And then we broke it, and then we retested it several times. Back here in August of 2022, we retested back here in April of 2023. So we can't ignore this, right? This is a zone that we need to watch, because if for whatever reason, the price dips even further to the downside, we need to hold, like $670 billion to $700 billion as support. So right now, everything is looking textbook for what happened during the Hope recovery rally back in December of 2020, because from December of 2020 to May of 2021, we went parabolic. So over the next few weeks, we will see if the altcoin market starts to break out of here. If we break this high on the 11th of March of 2024, and we start trending upwards of $1.4, $1.5 trillion, then you better have your bags packed, because altcoins, yes, XRP included, because XRP is an altcoin, would appreciate upwards because, XRP moves with the rest of the market. Sure, it's been underperforming compared to Solana and, other altcoins, but it's number 7 in the top 10. And so if you go on categories on CoinMarketCap and you sort based on market cap, so you click market cap once, you click it twice, you'll see our Almeida research portfolio, multi-coin capital portfolio, FTX bankruptcy estate, CMS holdings portfolio. The majority of these are portfolio capital companies. And so they're diversified amongst the top cryptocurrencies. And so the majority of these have XRP in their portfolio. So it's going to be impossible to ignore this bull run. So the chance of XRP going to zero, very, very slim to none, just based on the technicals alone. The portfolio capital companies that have XRP in their portfolio, the chart that is lining up with the crypto total market cap Bitcoin's halving just took place. And also right here, it looks like most people out there have forgotten that the Bitcoin dominance has been sitting in a bearish triangle for 7 years. This is just a small fake out to unsettle people before we see the big run in altcoins. So the reason why Bitcoin has been sitting in this bearish triangle for 7 years and the dominance just hasn't seemed to reclaim 70% is because there's more altcoins in existence. When you go on coinmarketcap.com and you look at the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see 753 exchanges supporting 2.4 million cryptocurrencies. Now, I don't know how correct this is, but there's hundreds of new cryptos being launched every single day. So I don't think Bitcoin's dominance is going to go back above 60 or 70%. And I think we're reaching the peak here soon, and we're going to start to roll over. The last time that we started to roll over was 2021, and by May, we saw this massive drop off a shelf. And by then, the altcoin market was going parabolic all the way upwards of $1.4, $1.5 trillion. So what happened to XRP during that time? Well, as you guys can see, during the bear market, XRP was making lower highs. We can see this descending resistance all the way from May of 2018 until XRP flipped it in August of 2020. Now, one thing that was interesting is that August of 2020, the same time that XRP flipped this descending resistance and held it as support, was the exact same time that the disbelief rally took place for the total altcoin market. Now, that's not a coincidence because XRP is a large cap, and so it moves, very synergistically with the altcoin market. And so as we saw this disbelief correction took place, and then by like November 2020, the hope rally take place, we saw something similar happen for XRP. It rallied upwards of 32 cents, saw a sell-off for a while. Then by November 2020, XRP rallied up. A lot of people think this was price manipulation for XRP because they knew that the lawsuit was coming, so they were pumping XRP's price. But if we look at the chart for total 2, the entire altcoin market was rallying up with XRP. So everything was running upwards of $230 billion. This final sell-off that took place before the parabolic price action that happened was December of 2020. Interesting timing how the lawsuit happened at that exact correction that took place, and all of that money started to flow into other altcoins, but XRP wasn't left, just sitting out. XRP saw this final dip down to back test this descending resistance as support one more time, and then XRP pulled a 10x the entire bull run until the top was in. By April of 2021 to May of 2021, XRP was sitting upwards of nearly $2. So it still did a 10x even while they were going through the lawsuit. And I think the strongest, case for XRP that it's going to be around this bull run, it's going to do well, is they had no clarity on the lawsuit. They still did a 10x, and they still remained in the top 10 in terms of market cap. And so if the market cap of the top 10 keeps climbing up, well, then XRP has the clarity that it needs on the secondary market. There's no reason why XRP, in my opinion, wouldn't appreciate if the altcoin market does this and M2 supply increases. And so let's look at the chart now. Let's look at it now, and let's see some similarities here. Because as you guys can see, the disbelief rally that took place in January of 2024 flipped this previous zone of resistance as support. It held it in the correction of January 2024. Now looking at XRP's chart, when we see this downtrend in a series of lower highs followed by lower lows being formed, then we start to see these higher lows and a higher high being formed on July of 2023. So XRP flipped the downtrend into an uptrend, but it's lagging behind the rest of the altcoin market. And so with the entire altcoin market rallying upwards of $1.26 trillion, the halving coming in, pre-halving correction simultaneous as the war news takes place, we see a shakeout in the market. Interestingly enough, we wicked off of the 50 moving average on the 3-day chart, and XRP wicked off of the support around 42 cents, which acted as support all the way back in May of 2023, wicked off of it in August of 2023, so it's wicking off of it again. If XRP can hold this support and total 2 can hold the 50 moving average, and we see something similar play out to what happened back from December of 2020 until May of 2021, then in my opinion, based on the current chart pattern right here on how similar it is to the past, XRP would appreciate with the rest of the altcoin market. Now, this is one of the most powerful charts that we need to look at that's going to show us whether it's a better time to hold XRP or whether it's a better time to hold Bitcoin. It's the XRP to Bitcoin price chart. And so when XRP is in a downtrend, it is better to be holding Bitcoin because Bitcoin is outperforming XRP. When XRP bottoms out and starts an uptrend, it's a better time to be holding XRP than it is to be holding Bitcoin because XRP starts outperforming Bitcoin. And so we want to be looking for periods and confluence on the chart compared to the XRP to the US dollar chart to see if this lines up. And so I've done this for you. Look at the top and look at the bottom. Back here in July of 2014, when XRP to the Bitcoin price chart bottomed out, XRP's price, if I go ahead and move my camera right here, was all the way back down here in 2014 at like 0.003. So historically, that would have been an amazing time to consider backing up the truck for XRP. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to buy, what to sell. I'm just going to bring you the news. I'm going to bring you the facts. I'm not a financial advisor. Go consult your financial advisor. These videos are purely for education, informational, and example purposes only. And so I always encourage you to do your own research after watching these videos. But when we look at the facts here, this was an amazing time to get XRP because right after that, XRP went upwards of almost 3 cents. And so you could have caught that trade right there, and it would have been 180 days, done a 7x. So if you would have put in $100,000, your income would have been upwards of $760,000. I think that's a pretty great trade, regardless of whether you believe in XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum. That's a pretty amazing trade right there. And if you just would have held even longer, it would have been up, like 60 to 70,000% from there. Yeah, 90,000%. What is that, a 900x? So you would have turned, $100,000 into 90 million. I think that's pretty incredible. So will that happen again? I don't know where XRP is going to go in price. I give you guys my price prediction, towards the end of this video. I've given you guys it in previous videos, but I just want to see when is a good period to hold something versus something else. That's what we want to look at. So let's look back in March of 2017 on the XRP to Bitcoin price chart. XRP to Bitcoin bottomed out, and then XRP to Bitcoin started rallying to the upside. Now also, at the exact same time on the XRP to US dollar price chart, XRP was bottoming out. Right after that, XRP went from 0.005 upwards of 50 cents, then upwards of almost $3. And up here, if we scroll all the way up here on the top chart, you can see XRP to Bitcoin topped out. So once XRP to the Bitcoin price chart was all the way up here back in December of 2017, you wanted to be getting out of XRP, and arguably you want to be getting out of Bitcoin too and get into US dollars. People say you don't want to hold US dollars, but in a bear market, I think it's smart to hold bonds and real estate and other sources of income that aren't going to drop 90 to 99%, right? Bitcoin dropped like 80+%. So doesn't even make sense to hold Bitcoin during a bear market. That's just not smart, right? So you want to be able to time these markets and know when to get in, when to get out, and still hold some for the long term. So you still have some diversification to the crypto market. But because crypto is very, very risky during a bear market, it just doesn't make sense to be entering in during a bear market while everything's bleeding out 70 to 99%. And so if we look back here, when we were in a bear market for the entire altcoin market, XRP was dropping from $3 all the way down to 11 cents. You should have been getting out of XRP. You should have been getting out of Bitcoin and entering into cash and stable coins and then staking that for a 5% APY and getting, the bond yield, depending on, whether you want to do short-term or long-term bonds. It's up to you. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but when XRP to Bitcoin bottomed out, it was all the way back down here, to this support. And so it rebounded off of that. That's when XRP performed a 10x with the rest of the market while going through the lawsuit. XRP to Bitcoin rallied up. We entered it into a bear market. Sure enough, during a bear market, XRP underperforms compared to Bitcoin. So if you are going to hold any crypto in a bear market, Bitcoin is the best one to hold because it sees the least amount of depreciation because it has the most amount of belief in the crypto space because it's the first, right? And we have the ETFs around Bitcoin right now. And so the institutions are backing Bitcoin. And so during a bear market, XRP is drastically going to underperform Bitcoin. Now, where are we right now? On the price chart, we're at about 52 cents. On XRP to Bitcoin, we're right down here, guys. We're almost at the bottom. Now, sure, we could bleed out even more. We could go lower. XRP could come all the way down to like 30 cents. It could come down there, but we're at 52 cents right now. So in terms of risk to reward ratio based on XRP to Bitcoin, this is incredible. This is incredible right here. Sure, you guys could wait until it starts to rebound upwards, but then that's when XRP would be upwards of 60, 70, 80 cents, maybe $1. And sure, you could wait to enter in there, but the real money is made in having foresight. Foresight is using, something other than just your eyes. It's seeing the potential of what could happen next based on where we are, and also knowing how to spot and connect fundamentals with technicals. And so for this part of the video, we've talked about technicals thus far. And technicals is what the charts are showing us. Technicals, we don't need to pay attention to what's being said on these news stations, these partnerships, all this stuff. Because how many times have we talked about the massive partnerships that Ripple's made, and nothing's happened on the price chart, or it's just traded sideways, or it's even sold off with good news happening. And so the charts and the technicals, in my opinion, are more important than the fundamentals because we can look at chart patterns, we can see the psychology of a market cycle, we can see comparisons, and we can match these charts up to see when is a good time to enter into the markets and when is a good time to get out. Based on the facts right here, this is amazing. This is amazing for XRP. And so this is one of the, in my opinion, one of the most legit trades that you could be making over the next couple years. Now, you're not going to buy XRP right now, wake up tomorrow and be a multimillionaire with $1,000. It's not going to happen. You're not going to buy XRP with $100 right now and wake up in 6 months and have $10 million in your account. It's just not going to happen. This takes time to play out because as you can see, if we were to measure the last time the XRP, the Bitcoin price chart bottomed out, when we reached the peak, it was about 130 plus days later. So about 4 to 5 months. The time before then, when XRP to Bitcoin bottomed out, to reach the peak, it was 300 plus days. So almost a year. And the time before then, it was about 190 days. So about 6 to 7 months. So we still have several months to see if there's anything impactful that will happen for XRP to Bitcoin and XRP to the US dollar. Now, my only major concern here is the law of diminishing returns. And as you guys can see, during the last bull run, XRP to Bitcoin price chart reversed. XRP did well, it performed 10x, but yet on the XRP to Bitcoin price chart, we are seeing a series of lower highs. And so because the market cap for XRP is upwards of $30 billion, it's going to take a lot of money to move this project compared to what happened back in 2017. So if we see something like this play out where XRP to Bitcoin starts to reverse, maybe does a double bottom like it's done in the past and starts to work its way out of here, this would be the next zone that I would watch for, in Q4 and Q1 of from 2024 at the end of the year to the beginning of 2025 for where we are on the price chart and also where we are on the XRP to the Bitcoin price chart. Because if we see Bitcoin pushing, 140, 150, 190K, well then XRP is starting to break out, but yet XRP to Bitcoin price chart is still within this descending resistance right here, forming a lower high, then I'm going to bring these charts back up in a future video to compare where we are on the XRP price chart. I'm going to be bringing up the RSI, the MACD, the stochastic RSI, and other key indicators so we can understand when XRP's top will potentially be in. So here's some other powerful information if you haven't seen this yet, because some creators of XRP have been early engineers that worked on Bitcoin. Now, Joel Katz, he used to work for the NSA, among others, and saw the scalability problems of Bitcoin, the speed, energy consumption, the cost, and wanted to build a better crypto to solve some of these problems. Listen to this.
Your company introduced XRP as a cryptocurrency. Who uses it, and why do they use it rather than one of the credit cards or a regular banking system?
So first off, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Great to be with Joe. I will correct one thing right out of the gates. Ripple did not actually issue XRP. The XRP ledger is an open source, decentralized technology, not dissimilar to Bitcoin. And some of the creators of the XRP ledger actually had been early engineers that worked on Bitcoin, and they saw some of the scalability problems that Bitcoin was likely to have, the speed, both from a energy consumption, cost, some of the other problems, and they wanted to build a better digital asset to solve some of these problems. The second thing I'll just comment on briefly is often you'll notice I often will call these broadly digital assets and not cryptocurrencies. And this is less of a legal distinction and more of a pragmatic human distinction that I don't think we're going to be buying coffee at Starbucks with Bitcoin or XRP anytime soon. I think we got to ask ourselves, what problem is that solving? You were talking about paying for the day spa bill and how you do that. But I think in some ways, the friction, the fiat currency, the US dollar in this case works pretty well. And so we need to make sure it's better than that before we talk about it as a currency.
Now, this is why people are saying Bitcoin stands for beta test coin, because it's not designed to be a currency because it's slow compared to other currencies like Solana, Ethereum, and XRP, and then even other cryptocurrencies are even faster than these ones. Bitcoin is more of a store of value. So where Ripple is stepping in with XRP is to solve that cross-border payments problem that need on-demand liquidity that could be sent very quickly across borders compared to ACH or wire transfers that take 3 to 5 days.
But you recently predicted that the crypto market will double in size to $5 trillion by the end of 2024. That is a big prediction just by the end of this year.
Yeah, I don't even feel like it's that big a prediction when you step back. And, like any market, this is driven by supply and demand. You have decreasing supply for a whole bunch of reasons, the halving of Bitcoin being an important one. You have an increasing demand, the ETF being a key part of that. And I think it's also people realizing that crypto plays a role as an asset. It's a $2.5 trillion market. Maybe it's a little less than that now. But so it's basically just predicting it's going to double by the end of the year. And if anything, I think I probably underpredicted that.
I feel like Washington is still trying to understand this market, and the people writing the legislation or potential legislation here to put barriers and around this market. I don't know that they really understand the strength and the growth story here. But you think putting regulation around this, putting barriers in place is going to be a positive for this market? There is no question. I mean, one of the headwinds that has held back the market, the largest economy in the world, the United States, has been one of the most problematic for the crypto market. Innovation, entrepreneurs, and capital have flown into markets that have actually constructively engaged this market. So Dubai, Singapore, even the UK, the EU has passed legislative progress here. The U.S. has really been behind the 8 ball. This administration, I think, has taken a pretty anti-crypto stance, led by the SEC. Gary Gensler, as the chair, has really taken... Because he doesn't understand it.
I think there's
Well, maybe he doesn't. The people working for him don't.
It's not clear to me. I mean, clearly, I think you have politicians, and I would frankly call out Elizabeth Warren goes out and says the only people using crypto are, bad actors. It's just not true. And the U.S. should have a pro-innovation, pro-compliance policy. This is good for, in terms of growing jobs, high-paying jobs, growing the economy. And I think you're seeing, people go out and just, talking points around anti-crypto that it doesn't even make sense. This shouldn't even be a partisan issue. This is about growing our economy.
Yeah.
This is about leading the next wave of innovation. I was around Silicon Valley when the internet was booming, massive amount of value creation, massive amount of job creation. The blockchain and crypto space is here to stay, and I think that's become clearer and clearer. But the U.S. government needs to embrace that and put those clear rules around it so that all participants can play and grow.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned all of those countries because that's also an opportunity for you, obviously, at Ripple. I want to get your take on that because you recently announced Ripple is launching a U.S. dollar-backed stablecoin later this year. You say this bridges the gap between traditional finance and cryptocurrency. Tell us how that will play out, why it's valuable, and give us the growth story for Ripple. Where does growth come from at your company in the coming 3 years?
So to start on that last piece, Ripple, about over 95% of our customers are non-U.S. financial institutions. We sell payment solutions, we sell custody solutions around blockchain and crypto. We're going to keep expanding, even though the U.S. market, as we were talking about earlier, partly from a regulatory point of view, has been slow to adopt. The non-U.S. market has been really, really strong for us. And you're
going to be the infrastructure around all of that.
That is our goal. And we think that opportunity is huge. We think that's going to be great for Ripple. We think it's going to be great for XRP, which is a digital asset we use. So I'm very, very optimistic about that. I just think that the U.S. needs to figure it out.
And the stablecoin?
Oh, the stablecoin. So Ripple has always been about how do we bridge this new world with a traditional kind of, people call it TradFi, traditional finance. And Ripple has always been that bridge. We started around payments and we sell into banks. A stablecoin, the demand for stablecoins has exceeded, I think, what people thought. It's a $150 billion asset class right now. Some forecast it to be over $2-3 trillion in a few years. The players in that space, particularly one called Tether, is a non-U.S. based entity. And the U.S., frankly, is kind of going after that because they want this to be regulated. Just yesterday, there's a new bill introduced in the Senate to create some stablecoin legislation, which I think is a positive step of like, hey, finally, we might get some forward momentum there. But I think that market's going to grow a lot. I think a U.S.-based player who is compliance first has a great role to play.
So as we talk about this litigation, do you think if there is an appeal in your case or in one of the other cases we've talked about, that ultimately this ends up with the Supreme Court, that this goes all the way to the top?
I think that definitely could happen. I mean, certainly, we've said this publicly. We are in it till the end.
So you'd take it to SCOTUS?
100%. By the way, again, there's a lot of lawyers in this room. That is a good thing. I mean, the current Supreme Court, we'd love to see the Vegas odds on how that would go.
Now, what's delaying this whole adoption process is that there hasn't been a settlement yet, and the potential of this going to the Supreme Court could be there because the SEC could always appeal, and they more than likely would. So I'm personally not expecting anything to happen for XRP until the tail end of this bull run. Now, with altcoins breaking out, I do expect it to do something, but I don't think XRP is going to go to like $5, $10, $15, $20 until maybe Q2 to Q4 of 2025. So we have several months to an entire year or two to accumulate as much of our favorite positions that we believe are going to do well as possible. So if you guys want to see what other altcoins we're bullish on that we believe are going to perform well alongside XRP, then what you want to do right now is go to bullrunners.com. The link will be in the description below, and you'll get exclusive early access to the underground guidebook for discovering 100x altcoins. That way you can do your own research. You don't need any previous crypto trading experience. All you have to do, click the button on the page. It's bullrunners.com, put in your best email address, and then you'll be instantly subscribed to our daily video newsletter where we give you the best information to help you prepare for the worst that's yet to come in this economy, because we believe the spending power of the dollar is going to keep going down in value. That's a fact based on inflation. They're not going to stop printing money. Otherwise, they're going to default. And so together, what we're doing is we're backing up our truck all the way to the bank, grabbing the bags, packing them and stacking them, leaving no bags left behind, because blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, and cryptocurrencies are going up in value. That's the truth. And together, we're going camping on the beaches of the moon. So I'll see you guys on the next video. I will see you on bullrunners.com. As always, You know what to do. Stay bullish.